What's up guys, it's Fernape here. Now before the video gets started, I just want to do a little bit of a promotion thing. They recently downloaded some apps from Amino. If you didn't know what Amino is, it's basically this app where you can actually be a part of many different franchises depending what you're interested in. Like say Marvel, YouTuber, Pokemon, anime, anything you can name, it's all on Amino. I've actually downloaded Pokemino, Tuber Amino, and Anime Amino, and I have to say, all of those apps are really fun. Like you can make friends, run polls. You can do pretty much anything you want. Like you can, if there's not an Amino that's already been created, you can even create your own. So I highly recommend you download Amino if you haven't already. But with that out of the way, let's get back into the video. In my last video, I actually did a video ranking all of the 7 Deadly Sins from weakest to strongest, based on the Netflix original anime. If you haven't seen it already, go check it out. It's my favourite anime of all time. But today, I'm going to be ranking all of the 10 commandments from weakest to strongest. If you haven't seen my last video, not only will I be taking their power level into account, but I'm also going to be taking their magical abilities and their commandments into account as well. If you didn't already know, each commandment has basically a commandment, which if you break, you'll be inflicted with a curse. So, I'll be taking that into account as well. If you think I misplaced a character, be sure to let me know down in the comment section below, or you can even tell me who you think is the strongest commandment in the 10 commandments. So, without further ado, let's get into the video. Okay, in 10th place, which I think is the weakest of the 10 commandments, is actually Frowdrin of Selflessness. Now, Frowdrin, I believe, is the weakest of the 10 commandments because A, he didn't actually get a commandment from the Demon King himself, and 2, he's just a stand-in for Gowther, who used to be the sin of selflessness until he disappeared over 3,000 years ago. Still, Frowdrin is pretty powerful. With a power level of 31,000, he also has a magical ability called Full Size, which means he can change his size from about 6 feet, I'd reckon, to about 60 feet. Like, it is pretty impressive, and not only that, he's able to mind control people, but sometimes it doesn't work, so I think either if their spirit ability is like over a certain limit, or if their power level is above a certain amount, like, I'm pretty sure that the mind control thing won't work. It's shown by when Frowdrin was mind controlled Dreyfus, and it only took until he threatened Hendrickson for the mind control thing to work. But still, compared to the other commandments, Frowdrin is incredibly weak. Like, if in the end of season 2, like he has a fight against Meliodas on his own, and literally Meliodas, all he had to do was just one hit him, and like he just punched him, and with a demonic fist, and then he died instantly. Like, this shows how weak Frowdrin is compared to the other commandments. But still, he is fairly powerful, but the further we go, the stronger the commandments get. Okay, in 9th place, we have Galland of Truth. Now in Galland's base form, his power level is only 26,000. But what makes him a major threat is when he uses his magical ability called Critical Over. Critical Over is an ability that actually increases his power to his absolute limit. And it also changes his form, and it busts his power level to 40,000. And I gotta say, he actually tried to kill Escanor with his Critical Over mode. He struck him once, and it was enough to level a couple of mountains from, I'd probably say, about a kilometre away, maybe even further. But all it did was scratch Escanor, which was pretty funny. And then he literally went into the 1, I think, and then Galland ran off and turned to stone. If you didn't already know, Galland is the commandment of truth, which means anybody who lies in his presence gets turned to stone. Like, it's pretty easy to defeat though, like, just don't lie. It's simple as that. Like, it's pretty easy. Like, even Escanor made it look easy. Like, he just didn't lie and just struck him down with pure power. And that's all you need to take down Galland. In 8th place, we have Grey Rose of Pacifism. Now, Grey Road is 1,000 away from Galland's critical overmode, which means her power level is only 39,000. However, it's her other capabilities and her commandment which I think makes her even more of a threat than Galland. Grey Road has an ability which can actually absorb and incubate people that are lacking magical power and then turn them into demons, which is pretty impressive, and it also complements her commandment. If you didn't already know, if someone commits a murder in front of her, they instantly lose all of their time. In other words, if you kill somebody in front of Grey Road, you die. So putting all of that together, that doesn't leave her opponents with very many choices. Like, they could either be killed by her before the egglings hatch, or be killed by them after they hatch. But luckily, Merlin is immune to her commandment. And to be honest with you, she's immune to every commandment. Merlin's magical power, Infinity, allows her to use a spell once that allows it to be infinite, which means it will never wear off unless she decides to deactivate it. So she decides to stop her own time, which means she is able to kick Grey Road's arse. But still, let's think about it. Merlin is the only one that can actually defeat Grey Road, which means Grey Road definitely deserves a spot at number 8. Okay, in 7th place, we have Gloxinia of Repose. Now, Gloxinia is here because of 2 reasons. 1, Gloxinia isn't actually a pure demon. He's a fairy. He's actually the first fairy king ever. And 2, well, we don't know what Gloxinia is capable of with his commandment. But I'm sure we'll be able to find out what he's capable of later on because, well, we're getting another season of 7 Deadly Sins. Now, Gloxinia is basically a better version of King. He's a more powerful fairy king. He's also got a very high power level of 50,000. He's got the same magical ability as King, which is Disaster, which means he can turn a very small scratch into a gaping wound and reduce the moisture of wood and turn that acid water droplet into a fatal bullet of death. But not only that, Gloxinia has his own Spirit Spear, the Spirit Spear Basquias, which is definitely a lot more powerful than King's Sacred Treasure, the Spirit Spear Chastifol. And not only that, Gloxinia can actually unleash its true power and not get exhausted. But King can unleash its true power, but it majorly affects his endurance. So, I gotta say, Gloxinia is extremely powerful when it comes to the 10 Commandments. In 6th place, we have Droll of Patience. Now, Droll is also a better version of Diane, because, well, he's the founder of the giant race, and, well, he's just more powerful than Diane, like, even without a sacred treasure or any weapons, like, he is just absolutely insanely powerful. Now, just like Diane, Droll has the magical ability called Creation, which means he can he can actually control the earth, and he can also make his own golems. And he's also able to use the moves Heavy Metal, and he's also he can use all sorts of earth-based attacks, just like Diane. However, he's more powerful than Diane because his power level is 54,000. But not only that, Droll actually can see the power level of everyone around him because of his magical eye. If you didn't already know, the magical eye is actually that earring that Hawk had. That's actually his eye. And not only that, he can also do a dance that can increase his attack and defensive power. That is just absolutely OP. OP as hell. In 5th place, we have Monspeet of Reticence. Now, I don't know a lot about Monspeet, but I'll share as much as I can. Monspeet has the magical ability called Trickstar, which means he can swap items that has similar power and veracity. And I gotta say, that would be pretty deadly. Like, say if he got something similar to Meliodas' Lost Vein sword. That means he can swap that item he had for Lost Vein and could probably kick the crap out of anybody. Monspeet has a power level of 53,000, which is 1,000 under Droll. But in my opinion, I think Monspeet is more powerful than Droll because he is actually a master of flame attacks. Like, he uses all sorts of flame attacks like Hellfire Bird and Ash Dragon. Like, since we haven't seen what his commandment can do, just like with Droll and Gloxinia, I can only place him this high. In 4th place, we have Melascula of Faith. Now, I was considering putting Melascula lower than this because her power level is only 34,000, which means she's only a little bit over a Gallant. But it's her magical capabilities and her commandment that put her over the edge. Melascula has as the commandment of Faith, which means anybody who loses faith in someone in her presence will have their eyes set on fire. That means, and she also explains that humans' hearts are really weak. Once you've put your faith in something, it can easily be broken. So that is quite true and very deadly if you ask me. Plus, not only that, she actually has a spell that can temporarily resurrect the dead. If you didn't already know, she can resurrect the dead who has regrets in this world and hatred towards someone, but if your hatred goes away, death will await you once again. Not only that, she has a really powerful technique called Cocoon of Darkness, which is actually a cocoon that nobody can escape from. Literally, it's been said in the manga that no one can actually escape the Cocoon of Darkness. Not only that, if she chooses, she can even rip out the soul out of a living thing. Like, not many people can do that. Like, I gotta say, Melascula is really, really deadly if you piss her off. In 3rd place, we have Derieri of Purity. Now, I know even littler than Derieri than I do of Monspeet, but I've done a lot of research and I only came up with a little bit, but it's the best I've got. Now, Derieri has a power level of 52,000, which is 1,000 under a Monspeet, but her magical ability Combo Star, I actually think I can put Derieri over the edge. Combo Star is extremely dangerous. Literally, it's basically like this. If she keeps hitting her target without any interruptions, the next punch actually a carry is another 200,000 pounds of pressure. Which means, say if she hits you 54 times, each time she hits, it just adds on another 200,000 pounds. And she uses this technique to break both of Meliodas' arms, so that way he won't be able to use full counter. Which is a very clever strategy, and the 54th actually sent him flying and through a mountain. We've seen what 54 hits can do, but imagine if she did it 100 times, maybe more. Like, this technique could easily kill a god. I think this technique could give Goku a run for his money. In 2nd place, we have Zeldris of Piety. Now, Zeldris is actually the youngest son of the Demon King, but he's basically like their mascot. With the power level of 61,000, this guy is definitely not one to be messed with. Just because Zeldris' power level is only 61,000, that doesn't justify a thing. Like, this guy can even take on more powerful opponents than himself. because the Demon King actually lent him some of his power, which makes magical attacks absolutely useless. Combine this with his already OP ability, Ominous Nebula, and you have one of the deadliest anime characters of all time. Ominous Nebula is an ability that sucks opponents towards them, unable to use any physical attacks but just before they do, they get ripped apart by literally sharp darkness waves. This is just an OP combination. I don't think many people can survive this combination. But still, there is one commandment that I think is the most powerful of the 10 commandments of all. And finally, at number 1, we have Estarossa of Benevolence. Now, Estarossa's power level is 60,000, which is 1,000 below Zeldris. But I think his magical power is able to overtake Zeldris easily. Estarossa's magical ability is full counter, similar to Meliodas', but it's different. Basically, he can take any physical attack and reflect it with double the impact without taking any damage, similar to Meliodas' full counter, but I think this full counter is even more deadly. Since physical attacks won't work, you're going to have to resort to magical attacks. Well, guess what? That's not going to work either, because Estarossa's magical power is OP as F! So imagine this. I've actually wanted to imagine this for quite a long time. Estarossa versus Saitama. Saitama goes for a serious punch, like a fully serious punch, and Estarossa decides to use full counter, doesn't take any damage, bye-bye Saitama! So putting all of that together, that physical attacks will just be reflected with full counter, he'll out-magic you, and he could easily take out Saitama without even breaking a sweat. I had to put Estarossa at number 1. And there you have it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I did, and let me know down in the comments if you think I misplaced any of the characters, and let me know who your favourite of the 10 Commandments is, or who you think is the strongest out of the 10 Commandments, and why. Also, guys, I am so grateful to all of you, because I have hit 95 subscribers recently, and I am so happy. I'm just 5 subscribers away from hitting 100. I know we can do it, guys. Don't forget to share this with every single one of your friends, so that way I can hit 100 subscribers. If you enjoyed this video as much as I did, be sure to give it a massive thumbs up, comment down below, share this video with a friend, and if you're new, subscribe to my channel. It's been Inferno today. Okay, that's all from me, sir. Until the next time, this is Infernape, signing off. Bye!